All right, welcome to the Palm Springs Unified School District regular meeting of the Board of Education. Today is Tuesday, June 28th, 2022. I will now call the meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Board Member Espericueta?
Here.
Board Member Wood?
Here.
Board Member Cornett?
Here.
Board Clerk Jarrell? Here. And Board President Girardi?
Here. And would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Monica Riza.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next item will be the reading of our mission statement by Erica Barrigan.
All members of Palm Springs Unified School District are united in our commitment to equity. We create deep, meaningful learning opportunities, build professionalism, and engage parents and community to ensure success for all students. All students graduate with the skills, capacities, and confidence needed to succeed in a rapidly changing world.
Thank you very much, Erica. Brings us to item number 7, report of closed session actions. Clerk Jarrell, are there any closed session actions to report this evening?
Yes. President Girardi, in closed session, the board took action to dismiss employee benefit specialist employee number 267561 from employment and directed the superintendent to send out appropriate legal notices. The action was, all in favor was unanimous.
Thank you very much. Brings us to item 8, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That item passed. And next is a special recognition. So the governing board wishes to recognize and commend the 2022 California Pivotal Practice Program winners. So if you guys would come up in front of the dais and meet the board down there, I'd appreciate it.
That's Will Carr and the ETIS department, please. Thank you.
I'm going to read this. Oh. Well, good evening, everyone. The board wishes to recognize the Educational Technology and Information Systems ETIS department and note that they have worked tirelessly to fix, replace, and distribute over 20,000 computer devices to the students and staff of Palm Springs Unified School District. Wow, that's a whole lot of stuff. Their extraordinary support via tech depots and the help desk fostered success for our students during distance learning. In addition to computers, the ETIS department distributed over 1,000 ViewSonics to classrooms, 23,500 headphones, 3,300 mice, not real mice, but those little things you use on your computers for TK through first grade, 1,050 dual monitors for teachers, and 3,000 hotspots to students in need of internet access. As a result of their hard work and dedication to our staff, students, and their families, the Palm Springs Unified School District was recognized by the California Department of Education as the 2022 Pivotal Practice Program Award winners. Wow. Congratulations. Will and the ETIS department, on the behalf of the students and the staff of Palm Springs Unified School District, members of the governing board and administration, we are truly thankful for everything you do to support our students, staff, and the community. And it is a pleasure to recognize and commend you as the Pivotal Practice Program Award winners for 2022. Yes, Will, would you like to say something?
Thank you all. So we did the Tech Depot during COVID. As many of you know, Joan was very instrumental in getting the word out about the Tech Depots. However, this team and a few others really what made it work. We were out there, in the summer, and we closed down schools quite quickly, and a lot of kids did not have the devices, and many more did not have internet. So with help from fiscal, board, cabinet, everybody got the funds. We were able to purchase what was needed, and these folks, plus a few others that couldn't make it here tonight, made it happen. We were out there just about every day, and it was hot, and we had thousands of cars literally showing up at almost every Tech Depot, and we got what was needed to the students and parents and staff during those very stressful times. But again, these folks made it all happen. I went out there once and almost died from the heat, and decided that I trust them fully to make it work. And what a great award. Bhavani isn't here. Bhavani actually wrote the application for the award. So she just got married this weekend and is on her honeymoon. So when she gets back, she'll be happy to see this. And so I say thank you to everybody that supports us. Thank you, cabinet and board. So that's it.
Okay, well, congratulations and thank you all very much. Job well done. Next up is our presentations, and our first presentation is going to be on the 2022 California School Dashboard, a local indicator for PSUSD and CVC, Cielo Vista Charter. And Dr. Kovitz, I believe you're going to lead this off.
Yes, our Mr. Mark Arno, our Executive Director of Student Learning, is stepping back into another role briefly this evening, and he'll be presenting the indicators for PSUSD and Cielo Vista Charter.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kovac. Good evening, everyone. So tonight, this presentation will review the LCFF Local Performance Indicators for 21-22. The annual collection of the local indicator data is used to inform LCAP development and must be publicly presented to the Board of Education at the same time as the adoption of the LCAP. All right, each local indicator is aligned with one of the LCF priority areas where progress cannot be measured with data reported through CalPads, test score files, or other purely quantitative data. Local indicators require local data and contextual interpretation. Therefore, each local indicator uses a state-provided reflection tool. Local indicator information will be uploaded to the California School Dashboard prior to the state-determined deadline, which usually falls on November 1st. Each local indicator will be posted under one of three status levels: met, or not met for 2 or more years. The annual measuring of progress for each local indicator, presentation of those findings during a public board meeting, and subsequent posting to the California School Dashboard prior to the deadline allows the district to report as met in all areas. We'll briefly review the results of each of the local indicators in this presentation. A full local indicator report is attached to the agenda for this meeting. The local indicators for Priority 1 are related to basic necessities for schools as outlined by the Williams case settlement. This includes reporting on any misassignments or vacancies in teaching positions, access to textbooks and instructional materials, and facilities inspection results. In 21-22, PSUSD had 0 misassignments and 7 vacancies for a rate of 0.67%. All students in PSUSD had access to textbooks and instructional materials for school and home use, so therefore our percentage of students without those textbooks was 0%, and all schools met the good repair status in 21-22. The local indicator for Priority 2 focuses on the district's implementation of state academic standards. This reflection tool provided by the CDE for this indicator requires reflection of the professional development efforts, curriculum alignment, and policy and programs to improve instruction in each subject area. Lead teachers, instructional coaches, site administrators, and district administrators provided input as part of this reflection process. Most subject ratings remained the same in 21-22 as in prior years. This year, mathematics implementation was rated higher by all participants, moving to full implementation in professional learning, aligned materials, and improvement efforts. Also, the implementation of health standards was also increased to full implementation, due in part to the full implementation of the CHIA-related curriculum and content. The local indicator reflection tool for Priority 3 changed for 21-22. This priority area focuses on family engagement. Although the reflection questions related to the rating scales and the key practices alignment remain the same, the narrative requirements change. LEAs are now required to share strengths, areas of improvement, and efforts to improve engagement from underrepresented families. Ratings for building relationships between school staff and families remain fairly consistent from prior years. Although there is still work to be done, the district's progress in creating welcoming environments was increased to full implementation due to high ratings from the Panorama surveys. Highlights from the narratives for building relationships include strengths of increasing the number of parent advisory committees and continuing work with diversity and racial equity. Areas for improvement include continuing to work in improving two-way communication structures and continuing work to ensure that school sites are welcoming to all visitors. And efforts to improve engagement from underrepresented families include increasing participation and engagement with PACs and increasing their group sizes overall, and various diversity and racial equity efforts, which include specialists at the district level and teachers and lead teachers to help support at the site level. The next reflection area deals with building partnerships with families to improve student outcomes. Progress continues to be made in these areas with resources and information available for supporting learning at home as being the strongest area for our district. Here we have the highlights from the narratives related to building partnerships. Strengths include the use of input from PACs to improve outcomes for our students, and increases in parent-teacher conference attendance due in part to the virtual meeting options that we had for parents. Areas for improvement include capacity building with school sites and developing these partnerships and providing workshops related to parents' legal rights and how they can advocate for their students and all students at their school. And efforts to improve engagement with underrepresented families include continuing efforts to promote college readiness via the HBCU and HIS tours, and additional FACE specialists, including one focused on supporting families of students with disabilities. The final portion of this local indicator deals with seeking input from families for decision-making in the district. The district has a number of strategies and systems to gather input throughout the year, incorporating family input in plan design and adjustments to programs both at the school and at the district level. Highlights from the narratives regarding family engagement include strengths of positive feedback regarding the LCAP input process and the ongoing work of PACs and ARC. Areas for improvement include increasing survey participation back to the pre-pandemic levels, cross-pack collaboration opportunities, and increased participation in ELACs across the district. And efforts to improve alignment from underrepresented families include continued expansion of PACs, both by type and number of involved members, and community forums with equity consultants. Priority 6 covers the topics of school climate. LEAs are required to conduct a survey at least once every other year in areas of school safety and school connectedness. PSUSD exceeds the standard via our annual panorama surveys. Results in both school safety and school connectedness reported lower in 21-22 as compared to pre-pandemic levels. Some differences exist between student groups, with the most significant differences being at the secondary level. And school connectedness continues to be a priority area in the secondary level, with about half of our students favorably rating that they are connected to their school sites. LCF Priority 7 is related to student access to broad courses of study, defined as accessing coursework in all subject areas appropriate to each student's grade span. Prompt 1 asks LEAs to identify local measures that are used to track student access and enrollment in broad courses of study. PSUSD uses a variety of tools, both internally created and available through Synergy, in order to monitor student access. An important highlight in this area is the annual OE10 report, which outlines some of the same topics annually for the board to review. Prompt 2 asks LEAs to summarize the extent to which students have access to and are enrolled in broad courses of study, PSUSD's monitoring of A through G course access, our work with our counselors on enrollment practices, and continued focus on wide range of course offerings creates a system where students are able to access courses in all subject areas. Prompt 3 requires LEAs to identify key barriers to accessing a broad course of study. Continuing pandemic-related challenges in 21-22 impacted access impacted access to course content, due in part to high chronic absenteeism rates and health exclusions. Similarly, SEL, mental health, and behavioral needs stemming from the pandemic have created additional barriers, and continuing issues related to limited participation in intercession, tutoring, and expanded learning opportunities also is a current barrier, as not all students who are in need of these programs are accessing these programs. Finally, Prompt 4 asks LEAs to share actions and next steps in increasing access and enrollment in broad course of study. The 22-23 LCAP features many actions that will positively impact this area, including continued focus on A through G course completion with related supports, and STEAM entering into our elementary school settings. So we will be loading the information for all local indicators into the California School Dashboard prior to the deadline, after which each indicator will be marked as met for the school year. The California School Dashboard will be refreshed sometime around December of 2022, at which point the new information will be publicly available on the site. Finally, an optional narrative for each LEA is available for each LEA. PSUSD continues to post this statement outlining that lifelong learning starts here and directing the public to our LCAP for more information. So that actually takes us through our district review of LCFF local indicators. I'll transition into Cielo Vista very quickly unless there are any questions at this point.
I have a question about the family engagement workshops and stuff that are offered. Do we only offer those at the Family Engagement Center, or are we offering workshops for parents and informational workshops at school sites also?
Good question. We do both, but I think as we move forward, we're really working to make sure that more opportunities are provided at sites. We appreciate the whole district efforts and the whole district opportunities, but we think in order for parents to fully access, we need to get them at those school sites.
That's my point, that I do too. And for the school connectiveness at secondary level, are there programs or are there different things that we're going to be using so that our secondary students feel more connected to their schools?
Yeah, there are a number of efforts I think that student services are really working to undergo, to take on, to make sure that students are feeling connected. I think, Dr. Kova.
And as we continue with our efforts, you know, we launched our multi-tiered system of support, and we're really focusing on the tiers under social emotional learning and really focusing on tier 1 at each school site, including our secondary sites. So we'll bring more information back to you as we have successes there in those areas as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other
Anybody else?
questions? All right, then I'll move on to CVCs. So the last 8 slides are a review of the local performance indicators for Cielo Vista Charter. Ms. Perez-Chica is returning from the ITSE conference tomorrow, so I'll briefly review their slides as well. The first one is just simply a background information similar to what we've already presented as part of the district presentation. Excuse me. Priority 1, again, asks for or focuses on our basic necessities, and CVC has met criteria in all of those areas. Priority 2 focuses on the implementation of state academic standards. You see that CVC chart reflects full implementation or full implementation and sustainability for all of those areas. Priority 3, again, is focused on family engagement, and noted in the slide are some of their narrative highlights. Priority 6 is aligned to school climate, and this slide highlights the CVC panorama results for school safety and school connectedness. And finally, priority 7 is demonstrating access to broad course of study. This slide highlights some of CVC's efforts to ensure broad course of study at both the elementary and the secondary levels. So the last slide is just informational. Any other questions? I don't have a lot of things I can reply on CVCs, but are there any questions other than what Ms. Cornett asked?
Mark, no, only I want to make a comment to thank your department and the school district for provide the presentation in English and Spanish. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right,
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, our next presentation, Dr. Kovets again is going to introduce this one, and it's a presentation on the Foundation Quarterly Report and updates.
So we have Ellen Goodman here, who is going to be presenting some information to the board this evening, and she will be including her updates.
Hi, everyone, and President Girardi, board members, cabinet. Just housekeeping. I should just push the return, and that'll advance my slides. Okay, thank you very much. I'd also like to take a moment and just introduce 2 of our foundation board members who have joined us this evening and would be available if you do have any questions. That's Dan Spencer, who is our vice president of the foundation board, and Kathy Bush, who is our board secretary. Thanks, appreciate that. So our 2 things, just our first slide is really just strictly for reading. It is our statement of purpose, and I've included a lot of context really because I know that you'll be reading this. It was included in your board packet, and you'll also have an opportunity to read through it post this presentation, and then also for any members of the public who had any interest in reading as well. So that is the statement of purpose from the Foundation Board. It's very similar to a mission statement. You know, there's vision statements, mission statements, and statements of purpose. 990s on the tax returns from the IRS, they request statements of purpose. So we're starting to use statements of purpose across the board, just for consistency. So our 2021 highlights. First, we'll start with our monies raised. The foundation raised $757,925,000. Those are unaudited numbers from July 1st to June 16th. That's 51.5% over our fundraising budget that we had planned for the year. and I'll go down the list. Focus areas for the foundation has been wellness centers, robotics, instruments, particularly this year is ukuleles, our SMART program, which is student mentor and resource training, shoes for students, classroom grants, and scholarships. But that's not all, because we had a number of projects and initiatives that equaled about 17 this year. Some of those are, we are the fundraising arm and partner with Musical Theater University. There was a Keisha D fundraiser, our One Night Out event, our Race Academy at Rancho Mirage High School, SMART, essay contest, and more. For new donors, the foundation acquired 171 new donors in this fiscal year, totaling $219,660. That's about $1,285 per individual as far as a donation, which is really quite high for a community-based organization. As far as our media outreach, we reached 144,000 individuals through social media. We sent out over 22,000 emails, that's internal and external. There were multiple ads and coverage of projects this year in the Desert Sun. KESQ picked up a few things, and we were actually on websites for radio, which was really great. As far as district alignment, we believe that the foundation's projects, works, and initiatives aligns with R1, R2.4, and R2.5. So I really apologize. This is super, super small, and I hope that you'll either be able to expand it on your screen or pull a magnifying glass out with your document. So this is a year at a glance for fundraising numbers. We started with our annual budget. You'll see under our arts category, the 3 initiatives, which we budgeted that we would raise money, $50,000. And you might remember when we spoke at the beginning of the year, we really were quite conservative this year because we had no idea what it would be like a year out of COVID. Under academics, some of the items that fall under that would be classroom grants, advanced technologies like robotics, 3D printers, and drones, essay contests, and native studies. We budgeted $135,000. We raised $153,101. Back to the arts, we surpassed that $50,000 budget that we intended to raise, and we brought in $135,620. Under college career readiness, under scholarships, our SMART program, Race Academy, and Jazzy, we budgeted $155,000, brought in $245,446. Our wellness centers, we were very modest there at $75,000. It was very explosive around mental health, behavioral health, and social emotional learning. And we brought in $104,900. General administration is where our board member contributions live. And so board members contribute $1,000 a year. That is discretionary money. So we anticipated $15,000. So far we've collected $13,839, and money has already come in between the 16th and today for members who were gathering their dollars. So we have a category, other fundraising. Other fundraising, we had our shoe campaign. That was not something that we budgeted or anticipated. We brought in $71,667. And you should know that Converse in that arrangement contributed $50,000 in tennis shoes, not in cash, in tennis shoes. So that really brought us up to about $124,000. COVID relief, money trickled in for COVID, $13,604. The Parent Engagement Center, one of the assets that the foundation provides the district is it is a place where the community members can have money sit for other departments at the district, either schools, booster clubs, PTAs, ASBs, or actual like departments like the family center. A number of people just aren't that comfortable giving to those entities, knowing that it's a 501c3, they have that security. And also some funders, they can only give to 501c3s, like their family foundations and so forth. So this is a holding place. That it would be the same for Cathedral City High School Choir, the HBCU, Playwork, Soccer, and Palm Springs High School Therapeutics. So overall, $500,000. The foundation again brought in $757.95, 51% over budget. Our district support is almost $320,000. Yes, please.
This 757,925, does that include the district support?
It does not.
So you get the district support for that, but then you, in addition, you raised 757,925.
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you. And then I'll just read a quick statement. In all of this reporting, of course, it's impossible to put a cash value on the intangibles that the foundation brings to the district, creating general goodwill, establishing good feelings about the district among whole new communities and existing communities, positive public relations, stewarding of donors for the future, and more. But if we could put a number on that, I'd say that the foundation's value to the district is considerably higher than the numbers on the board. So we'll jump now to what we anticipate for 22-23. Our key drivers are on the right-hand side. These are ways that we will raise this money. We were trying to be somewhat modest but assertive in our numbers. We made some changes. When you look at a budget, you might say, well, if you raise $300,000 in college and career readiness, why wouldn't you raise $300,000 the next year? But you will notice on this, we actually made some changes and made some adjustments on where we think that we will be able to earn this revenue for the coming year. So we have $130,000 in our arts category, $200,000 in our academics, $150,000 in college and career readiness, $200,000 in our wellness centers, and $100,000 in our other fundraising initiatives, which would total $780,000 for our goals. And again, on the right-hand side are the ways that we will anticipate going about that. This is our annual program plan, and this is in our MOU, and we work together with Mike and Simone, as well as our foundation board and staff. And so we broke it down into our quarters. Q1 and Q2 are very dense. They're very heavy. And that is because, one, there are a number of grant deadlines that are due, and you'll see the very first one, Bighorn Cares, is due July 1st. The Morgan Stanley is a mental health and behavioral health initiative. It's a national competition that's due July 15th. The Spotlight, CBS Spotlight, is due in September, so we'll spend our first quarter preparing that, and then our other ones. Our Shoes for Students has already kicked off. We applied to the Anderson Children's Foundation for a grant to purchase shoes, and we were awarded $10,000. So we're already hitting the ground running for shoes. Our essay contest will kick off with all the teachers. One Night Out is a new product for the foundation. It is an alumni-produced event. It'll take place at the Palm Springs Air Museum on October 1st, and that is for everyone over 21. It is initially a fundraiser and an acquisition strategy for new donors, existing donors to increase giving, and then mentors and volunteers, classroom grants, and et cetera. Our Q2 is individual contribution, ticket sales, and major gift cultivation. We know this is when everyone's back in the desert. And so some of the items are carryovers from Q1, and then we'll have some new items. We are meeting with CTE, Calista Combs, and Deanna, and foundation board members to discuss a reimagination of Champions of Excellence event, which we're pretty excited about. And then under Q3 and then Q4. So in our third quarter, we kind of wrap up. We're in the throes of events. We have been negotiating with Postmodern Jukebox about coming to the desert for a concert in January at the Richards. You might remember in 2015 they kicked off the opening of the building, and so we're working with them right now. We've also met with the arena to see where we might be positioned with them as far as creating, it might be valley-wide, but a huge brand around raising money for education in the valley. And that seems to be exciting for them and for us as well. And then when we get into Q4, it's wrap up. It's exactly what we've done all month. We start preparing for grants for the next year, and we start wrapping up all our year-end reports and our final reports that are required. So it doesn't stop there. We have something called organizational development. It's really what is the engine running the back of the house. And we have a number of things going on in the organization and at the board level. So the first is board recruitment. There's a constant succession planning and a desire to diversify our mindset and on the board, our skill level, the businesses that people come from. And so you'll see all the things that we're doing inside of board recruitment. We did just bring on 2 new foundation board members as a result of our recruitment strategies. In September, we're going to be launching formal committees at the foundation board level. So those are some of the mechanics that go into that. We are digging deep now into our data. We use Salesforce as our database, and all of the things around data as far as understanding what's really going on, so that we can increase the existing giving, we can clean what might not be productive, and of course add new elements to it. And then we are always marketing and having public relations around all of our events. And it's our year in review. I don't know what I did. And if there are any questions or comments?
Any questions or comments?
Comments. Thank you, Erin, for everything that you did it. It was a pleasure for me to be in many of your events. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Sergio.
Yeah.
I just want to say it looks like you've had a very successful year, and to thank you for all the stuff that you bring to our kids that maybe they wouldn't have an opportunity. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I agree with my fellow board members, and just am excited about this new year, and I'm thinking you're going to be again surprised to see all the innovative things that you're doing are going to really help our students. Thanks for your board, for all the events, and all the people behind the scenes that do so much to help us be successful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ellen. And thank you, board members. I got to tell you, every time I get a presentation, I'm just so impressed with the thoughtfulness, the professionalism in your approach to running our foundation. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, that will take us to our next presentation. This is going to be on CHP Cannabis Tax Fund Grant presentation. And I think Dr. Sweezy.
Great. Thank you, President Girardi. It's my pleasure to introduce Paul Herrera of Paul Herrera Safety Consulting, PH Safety Consulting. And Mr. Herrera has worked on a project that included some of our students from Cathedral City High School, and he shared with me how wonderful it was to work with the students, and that he wanted to come here this evening to just express to the board his appreciation for the collaboration with the students at Cathedral City High School, and let you know a little bit about what he's been working on. Mr. Herrera?
Cabinet and board members, thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you for being here.
My name is Paul Herrera. I am a private consultant project manager. I'm employed by the city of Cathedral City. I'm a former police officer, retired. Part of what I do is project management, and grant administration. The reason why I'm here is to highlight some work that was done in collaboration with one of the teachers at Palm Springs High School, the data program, and a couple of the students that I worked with there. Both on a smaller level, definitely not 20,000 devices like some of the employees here have done, but on a smaller level, it was impactful. And I don't know how often different private sector folks come to talk to you about things and about these types of interactions, but I thought that it was a good opportunity to share some of this work and highlight some of the work that was done. So in 2016, as probably everybody remembers, cannabis was legalized in the state of California for recreational use. From that came a projected $1 million in tax funding to go to education, different types of training, both for law enforcement and for both private and public sector opportunities. In 2021, while I was working as a project manager for the city of Cathedral City, I wrote a grant. The grant was a CHP Cannabis Tax Fund grant, and what this had to do with outreach for community outreach and stakeholder outreach. The purpose is it is to reduce DUI drugs, DUI cannabis specifically, those types of driving events, those types of incidents, and juvenile use. It was a two-part grant. It was focused on both officer education and trying to improve officer education through scientific methods and professionalism. And then the other part of it had to do with stakeholder outreach. So I ended up interacting with Cathedral City High School through the stakeholder outreach portion of things. Part of the grant had to do with speaking with the district attorney's office, collaborating with them on different scientific methods and different trends in prosecution, and judges, local judges within the area. Also interacting with our stakeholders and our owner-operators within Cathedral City. And I'm not sure if everybody knows this or not, but there's over 60 licensed cannabis operations and enterprises in the city of Cathedral City. So it's a part of our landscape. It's part of the whole landscape of the state of California. And in different ways it impacts our youth and our educational efforts. One of the things that I did was to collaborate with a teacher at the high school. The teacher's name is Bryce Johnson, and he's a teacher in the data program. One of the things that I wanted to do was to try to interact and try to give back to some of the students, if possible, while I was working on some of this outreach. I'm familiar with the data program from my previous work within the police department and knew of it. I know that they have worked with the school district and with a couple of other private sector groups in regards to creating different types of content and different types of work. And I thought that it was a good opportunity to interact and collaborate. So between Mr. Johnson and myself, we formed a collaboration in which we vetted different students for their ability to help out with this program. So as part of that, we created an interview process. An interview process that was much like an interview process that any person would see out in the private sector, which included resumes, Zoom interview process, and then a selection process. And from that, we were able to come up with 2 students that really stood out compared to the other students. But most of all, I was super, super impressed with the work that was done by Mr. Johnson, and super impressed with the 2 students that came forward. So from that, I started working with the 2 students in regards to some of the educational initiatives and some of the principles and some of the goals and objectives. And some of those had to do with building a website, creating different types of presentations, creating content, and maybe creating some videos that we could use for different types of educational efforts, and for either the school resource officer to use, different police officers to use potentially, and or anybody else in public safety to be able to use to help out as guidelines or templates. So some of these were created. I'm sorry, I'm not doing this at the same time and showing some of this, but I'll go to some of this. So for example, some of the items that were created were a couple of presentations having to do with some basic presentations about cannabis use and cannabis and youth use and discouraging it. Part of this had to follow a certain criteria that was approved by the state of California. So in working with 2 of the students, we had to follow certain guidelines. So some of the things that we're seeing on a website I'll display here were created completely by the students with our oversight in doing so. So some of the messages had to do with things like, okay, for a template for officers or for somebody to follow, talking about some basics about using cannabis and about why you would want to use it, why would you not want to use it, and some messages have to do with that. So as you could see, some of these slides that were part of the presentations that were created, and just displaying some of these. Along the way, the 2 students that I work with were able to get a better grasp of what it is that we do in writing a grant and trying to move forward with certain initiatives and objectives about DUI and the issues that come along with that, get a little view into public safety, and then also work as credentialed students with a little bit of clout within their classes and on the classroom itself to pass some messages along. So one of the students, and I asked both of them to be here, one of them couldn't be here, but one of them is here with me today. It's Vega, and I just wanted to make an introduction with Jesse. And in vetting a couple of the students, Jesse really stood out. He's a student athlete at the high school, and one of the things that Mr. Johnson told me when we were working together was he may not be the best fit because he's really busy. He's into everything. He's involved in a lot of different activities. But he told me one thing that he does is he always finishes everything he starts, no matter how busy he is. So from that, I said, let's go ahead and start working together. It's been a great experience on a micro level to be able to work with them and pass along some of the intangibles that they won't get. They're getting some great tech skills over there, but I see some opportunities for them to be able to maybe work with our city government, our public safety officers that are always creating safety videos, that are creating different types of instructional videos, and potentially fire department officials, and so forth. So if there's an opportunity to bridge that gap in the future, I'd like to be able to do that. But most of all, I just wanted to come here, just be able to share my experience and to give kudos to them and to Mr. Johnson at the high school, and just say it was amazing working together and seeing what good work was done. Thank you very much. Do I have any questions?
I was just wondering, how many of the kids at the school at Cathedral City High School got to actually see your presentation?
Right now, we finished the presentation at the end of the year, so we weren't able to develop that. It is going to work next year as we move forward with our new school resource officer and or anybody else over there that is can usher it in appropriately.
Mr. Herrera, we appreciate your presentation and your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, next is public comments. We don't have any emailed public comments, and I don't have any speaker cards, so I take it there are no public comments. All right, that takes us to board member comments. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share this evening?
I had a few, or one comments. I want to give you my report about the retreat that happened in June 23 and 24. And this is the second retreat at the year for the board members with the superintendent, the cabinet, and director. And it was a very beneficial retreat, having the opportunity to together review the existing policies and update them to align with the current needs. Also, I see a lot of progress, or a lot of progress was made in the discussion related to how to increase the participation of the student board members. That is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Karen, do you have anything?
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that did presentations tonight. It's really informative. So thank you for that, and thank you, Mr. Herrera, for coming and presenting what you're doing with our high school students. And actually, Jesse was Cathedral City High School ASB president, so I wanted to recognize you for that.
Awesome.
Also, just to say, I hope staff is able to get away and take a little time off and get a little bit R&R. And also, I really enjoyed our retreat, and thank you to Monica and Erica for all that you did to put it together, and also to our cabinet. And thank you, Dr. Sweezy, for being with us and allowing us to really work on stuff that we needed to work on, and the rest of the cabinet. Thank you.
Congratulations again to Will Carr and the whole team. ETIS rocks. You deserve every flag and more than that. Every one of you have been there for our kids and in the heat and over the last years, making sure that every kid is equipped and has access, and that's very important. I also want to continue to give gratitude to all of the people who are still in schools, working summer school, working at Camp Broadway, doing their magic this summer to keep kids engaged and participating. And we even actually had an email from a teacher who was so happy at the high school she's working at and praised the whole program. So it's a good thing when things are going well, kids are happy, everyone's settled in, and then it has to end. So, but then it'll soon start up, right, Dr. Sweezy? Yes. And congratulations again to the foundation and all of the successful programs across the district. I also wanted to mention Dr. Murray, Peter Van Buskirk, Julie Arthur, Dr. Signoret. This was a big night for you to give us a lot of information, and I appreciate, or we appreciate your preparation. Thank you.
Well, I think I don't have anything to add to that, so I'll just turn it over to Dr. Sweezy.
Okay. Well, thank you. My comments will also be brief this evening. Just a real quick public health update. So looking at the Riverside County numbers of cases per 100,000 last board meeting, there were 41.1 cases per 100,000. And now that number has dropped, which is good news, to 34.5 cases out of 100,000. That's about the same level we were at in late February. So it's good news to see that going down. The positivity rate, however, has increased from 9% at our last board meeting to 13.2% when I checked those numbers just today. So again, for us all to continue to use all the great health precautions. One quick comment I wanted to make about the district's commitment to health. Some of you may have noticed at our last board meeting, we had a first reading of a new board policy that would allow for the district and district employees to administer a Narcan dose, which would prevent an opioid overdose. And that's something that we're very proud of here, and we know that that's an issue that's very important to our board, and Member Jarrell spoke about that a few meetings ago. But again, I just think it's a great example of how the staff here at Palm Springs Unified really do go above and beyond to take care of our students and families and the community. I also really enjoyed the board retreat. I'll leave it there so I won't repeat the comments that were made earlier. And we're looking forward to summer school graduation this week. So that's very exciting for the students who are involved in that, and that will be on Thursday. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, President Girardi.
Thank you, Dr. Sweezy. That brings us to item 14, board action items. 14A is approval of certificated and classified employee transactions, OE 14. And Dr. Senior A, I'll turn it over to you.
I'd like to call up Mr. Dennis Zink. We are very pleased to recommend Mr. Dennis Zink as the new Director of Classified Human Resources. Mr. Zink earned his bachelor's and master's degree with an emphasis on special education from Fresno Pacific University. He started his career as a special education teacher in 1995, eventually joining our district as a teacher for Palm Springs High School in 2004. In 2013, Mr. Zink was promoted to the position of assistant principal, and in 2017, he was promoted to principal for Palm Desert High School within the Desert Sands Unified School District. Throughout his career, Mr. Zink has demonstrated outstanding leadership in human resources related aspects such as recruitment, staffing, and employee evaluation. Most importantly, Mr. Zink's ability to build trust quickly and positive relationships will strongly benefit our district, as this will help our recruitment, retention, and support of quality personnel. Dr. Kelly Mae Volmer, Superintendent of Desert Sands Unified, shared that thanks to Mr. Zink's motivational leadership, he was able to implement meaningful change at Palm Desert High with expertise and purposely calculated steps. She further stated that Mr. Zink is a leader amongst leaders and a role model for all principals in our district. We are confident that Mr. Zink has experience, expertise, and dedication to be an excellent Director of Classified Human Resources. Congratulations, Mr. Zink. Is there anything you'd like to share with the board and superintendent? Anybody you'd like to recognize this evening?
Thank you, Dr. Senior A. I first want to thank the board for this wonderful opportunity to be back in Palm Springs Unified. I'm really excited about that. Thank you, Dr. Sweezy and the rest of Cabinet, for having the faith in me to bring me back and appoint me to this position. I also want to thank my beautiful wife, Amy, my son, Daniel, my daughter, Megan, who's also a teacher in Palm Springs Unified, and her husband, Eric. I think it also would be remiss if I didn't thank Desert Sands for the trust that they put me in to run a great school, and all the faith they had in me to do the work I did for the last 5 years. So I am very grateful to them, but really happy to be back. I'm excited to be here to collaborate with our classified bargaining units, collaborate with our management team, and I look forward to all the good work we're going to do moving forward. So thank you again.
Thank you. All right, so can we get a motion to approve employment agreement with Dennis Zink, Director, Classified Human Resources, salary schedule range 42, step 9, effective date to be determined?
Move for approval?
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Zink. Welcome back. All right, item 14B, approval of monitoring report governing policy OE5, financial planning, OE 8.1. Can I get a motion to approve item 14B?
Move for approval?
Motion, how about a second?
Second.
A second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 14C, approval of the 2022-2023 School Plan for Student Achievement, SIPSA, OE 10.6 and OE 10.8. Can we get a motion to approve item 14C?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That
Aye.
motion passes. Thank you. Item 14D, approval of local control accountability plan, LCAP, for Palm Springs Unified School District and Cielo Vista Charter School, OE 5 and OE 10. May we get a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That motion passes. Thank you. 14E, approval to award contract number C0004318 to Vitrac Health Incorporated in conjunction to awarded RFP number 22-02, Infectious Disease Professional Health Support Services, OE 6.3. Can we get a motion to approve that?
Move for approval.
Have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 14F, approval to process automated clearinghouse, ACH, and wire transfers as a payment option for the fiscal year 2022-2023 OE5. How about a motion to approve that, please?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes too. 14G, adoption of resolution number 2021/2022-113, authorization to process budget revisions, adjustments, and transfers for the fiscal year 2022/2023, OE 6.7.
Move for approval.
We have a motion, thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
14G passes. Item 14H, adoption of resolution number 2021/2022-114, authorization to establish an estimated spending determination for the education protection account for fiscal year 2022/2023. Somebody please make a motion.
Move for approval.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 14I, adoption of resolution number 2021/2022-115, authorization for fiscal year 2021/2022, year-end budget adjustments, OE 5.4. Somebody like to make a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That motion passes. Item 14J, adoption of the Palm Springs Unified School District fiscal year 2022/2023 budget and approval of the fiscal year 2021-2022 estimated actuals, OE 5.1. How about a motion?
So moved.
Motion, how about a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item 15 is the superintendent's consent items, where we will vote on items 15A through 15L in one vote, unless somebody would like something pulled aside for a separate vote. Now, these are items that we've been given prior information in our Friday packet, so everybody should be fairly familiar with them.
Yep.
All right. How about a motion to approve item 15, the superintendent's consent item?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item 15 is approved. Item 16 is board consent items. 16A is approval of meeting minutes for June 14th, 2022. Can I get a motion for that?
Move for approval.
How about a second?
President Girardi, I want to add some correction
Sure.
in my comments. In my comment from the previous meeting, I apologize with the public about when I say the congratulations to class 2020, but I was meaning that was class 2022. And also in the street naming from Desert Hot Spring, I reviewed the video and I want to add in the minutes in my comments the name of the April Martinez and Daisy Nayol from Desert Hot Spring, and Sofia Gonzalez and Christopher Vega from Catira City High School.
Okay. So with Sergio's addition, your motion still stands?
Yes, it does.
Okay, how about a second? Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Item 17 is an information section. 17A is first reading of revisions to Board Policy 6146.1, high school graduation requirements. The board has reviewed and received received and reviewed this information. Item 18 is suggestions for future agendas. Anybody have any suggestions tonight? No? Okay. Item 19 is setting of the next board meeting. Our next regular board meeting will be held on July 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Item 20 is to debrief. Anything we need to go over? Okay. 21 is adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.